Howdy, guys. Attorney Walter Hnot. Now, here's the basic deal. We're going to be going through essentially something that is sweeping the nation right now that will probably be in the news, Fox News, CNN over the next month, I would say. Oh, the doggies are hearing the tractor outside. Here's kind of the bottom line with this situation. The unfortunate problem, the thing that we are facing that is going to ruin most future Americans' opportunity to basically make more money or get out of the lower, class earning mark into the middle and maybe even upper, is this thing called reverse mortgages. Now, I was recently talking with somebody who is in the industry of real estate and assessing houses. And I brought up an idea and some things I was watching and what I thought was going to happen. What I believe was going to happen was that these older individuals, the retired, who couldn't afford their basic retirement because their retirement benefits had reduced significantly, due to the cost of living adjustment being so low. I mean, look, nobody sits back and goes, "Oh, the cost of living adjustment is so good, it's so amazing, we got so much more." I mean, maybe they did back in the day when they advertised it as such. Even President Biden came out and said, "Look what I did." And then he had to pull it back from the White House website. But the bottom line is that the cost of living adjustment is always significantly less than it actually, is needed to pay out to that retired person, that disabled person the next year. Right. So when you got 8.7%, it should have been, 11, 12, 13, whatever. It should have been higher. So as a result of this, month after month, they've been basically degrading, eroding what your benefits should be on a year by year basis, rather. And as the result of that, all these retired people, these older individuals, they're up shit's creek. They can't afford their house anymore. They don't have enough income coming in. They don't know what to do. They've got two options. I guess it's three options. Option one is somehow find more money, right? Whichever way that is, a friend, getting a job, whatever. Option two, downsize, sell the home, get something smaller, have a little extra cash on the side. Step three, which is now becoming increasingly popular because a lot of retired people want to stay in the home that that they grew old in, basically, that they finished their working years in, is this idea of a reverse mortgage. Now, I'm going to tell you the intro stuff, and then I'm going to tell you what made me absolutely furious about what's going on. Here's specifically from consumerfinance.gov, the website. So what is essentially a reverse mortgage? I'll just give you the quick version. It's like a traditional mortgage, allows homeowners to borrow money 62 years or older, using their home as security for the loan. Also like a traditional mortgage, when you take out a reverse mortgage loan, the title to your home remains in your name. However, unlike a traditional mortgage, with a reverse mortgage loan, borrowers don't make monthly payments. So you take out the loan, you don't have to make any monthly payments. The loan is repaid when the borrower no longer lives in the home. Interest and fees are added to the loan balance each month, and the balance grows. With the reverse mortgage loan, homeowners are required to pay property taxes and homeowners insurance, use the property as their permanent residence and their principal residence, and keep their house in good condition. Now, let's talk about that real quick. Here are some of the things that cause individuals with reverse mortgages to have their homes taken via foreclosure by the bank. Number one, not paying your property taxes on time. Number two, homeowners' hazard insurance premiums, not paying those on time. Flood insurance premiums, not paying those on time. Ground rents, condominium fees, HOA fees. You failed to keep your home in good condition, didn't do the repairs you needed to. You were outside of your house for more than 12 months, didn't use it as your principal residence. These are all things that can cause essentially a foreclosure. And when you get stuck in that situation as an elderly retired person, guess what happens? You face giving them a deed in lieu to the bank. You face trying to find somebody else to pay for it. You face basically a foreclosure. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people do not realize, but these groups, these mortgage groups, are becoming more aggressive when it comes to what are they going to do with the home when you pass away. The idea is that your heirs will go ahead and take up the mortgage if they can. But obviously, most of the time they can't, because the money you took out kept growing even though you weren't making payments on it. So it's growing and growing and growing. So what you owe to the bank down the line actually is significantly more, which is then passed to your potential heirs, who look at this thing and go, "Whoa, that's a lot of money that's due on this thing." Mom and dad's house, that's a lot of money to keep it. Oh, thank you, Shirley. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. Howdy, howdy. Very cool. Very good. So what you have to know here is that I started to ask around a little bit about reverse mortgages and what's happening in the industry. And provisions in the contracts are changing. So what I'm going to be doing in the future is creating a state by state on the specific contract provisions that are changing to allow the banks to more easily go ahead and tap into your property during the end game, which means before you pass away, they're prepping. When you pass away, they are ready to go ahead and take that property. And here's what's going on. They're able to take the property for less money than usual. Back in the day, they were able to give out reverse mortgages for larger amounts. So you'd get a significantly larger portion of money for the worth of your home. And, with the rates not being as bad, okay, maybe this can work out. But now you're only allowed to take out a smaller amount and the rates are higher, which means, guess what? Your kids can't pay it off. So what happens is you get to live there, but you've got like another form of government sitting on top of your shoulders, making sure you're constantly on top of that house. Now, aside from the easy stuff, aside from the stuff that everybody sees as a problem, like rising insurance costs being just absolutely insane for the cost of a home, how do you define what, keeping your home in good shape and repaired and yada, yada? How do you define that? At what point can they start to play with that? The thing I'd like to point out with you, and many of you already realize this, is that HOAs, essentially, those homeowners associations, are very similar to these reverse mortgage groups. They're watching you. They can dictate to you what needs to be done, and you've got to pay. Now, I want to go ahead and put you through some of the quick logic that I've noticed with this that absolutely made me furious. Here we go. The retired can't afford things due to inflation. That is the direct fault of the Social Security Administration, the Federal Reserve, and President Biden's White House. A direct result. Like when people want to be a warrior of one political party, that's fine. I will get your little award made out of paper mache. You can clip it on your t-shirt. But if we're going to be a little bit more intelligent than that, what we're going to realize is that the SSA, the Federal Reserve, and the White House messed it up. Not a soft landing. We're on fire right now in a bad way. Okay. The COLA, cost of living adjustment, does not keep up. So every year you're going to get less retirement benefits than you should. So 10 years from now, you're really going to be hurting. Not a little bit, really going to be hurting. So even if you take out a reverse mortgage, you're not going to be able to afford it down the line because guess what? The money you thought you'd have to be able to use against the inflation problem is not going to be enough. Next one. A person then goes ahead and says, well, I can either downsize, I can reverse mortgage, I can get a job, etc. These are decisions that normally should not be facing a retired individual because that means our system of employment and our system of paying FICA taxes to keep you doing okay during your golden years, that means it failed. That means it's bad. That means it didn't work. Now, their kids, right? The people that took out a reverse mortgage, their kids can't afford to take over the reverse mortgage, which over the time period that it sat there has become more expensive and sometimes worth more than the house. That's a problem, okay? The kids abandon the home after their parents pass away. The kids remain in rentals or if they can afford it, their first home. But remember, most kids nowadays, and remember, I see this. I'm a lot closer to these generations than you guys are. A lot of you guys that are watching are in your 50s, 60s, and 70s. But I can tell you those in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, many of them are not able to afford a house. Many of them are not getting good long-term benefits like pensions and things like that. The kids do not get a rental home option is what I'm getting at the end of this, which is that if the parents pass away, normally the kids inherit and the kids then take that inheritance and convert it into a rental home or sell it and get money. Those two options over the next 30 years are off the table. They're just off the table because the retired can't afford to live in America. And if the retired can't afford to live in America and they use a reverse mortgage option, then guess what? At the end of the day, their kids are going to go ahead and not be able to inherit. Now, you might be saying, screw the kids. You might be saying, I don't care, no biggie, whatever, it's fine. You might be saying that. But I would like to push this idea to you. The grand majority, once again, the grand majority of people who have a little bit extra money, a little bit, they get more, they keep rolling, they do better. But the grand majority of individuals that get into that situation will go ahead and be there because something changed in their life. And it's usually an inheritance, usually in the form of a house, usually something that they can convert into a rental home, or they can sell the house and then put it into something else that makes money. That world will disappear within the next 30 years. So this idea that, some kids or your kids will be able to get out of having to constantly work and reach some form of financial freedom off of the good things that you have. Because remember, the retired, even if you're disabled now, but the retired, they're not going to have money when they go ahead and, face their final moments. They're not. It's going to be sucked up by essentially the care house that they're in, or potentially the bills that they're facing and the reduction of essentially those benefits, all those things. So the point is, and I think this is important, at the end of the day, what you have to realize is that, what's happening as a big picture? And I'm a big picture guy. I mean, sure, I read the statutes and I go into detail and I show you guys what it means, but I'm a big picture guy. Generational wealth is being ended for the low and middle class income individuals. I want to say that again. Generational wealth is being ended by the low and middle class income individuals. That means that America as a country is creating a group of people, right? Your middle class, your low class, your workers, your blue collars, which now is including doctors and lawyers, because we just don't make enough. So what that means is America, through its culture, is creating a working class that will never be able to get out of being in the working class. Okay, so some of you guys like to say, Donald Trump is self-made, yada, yada, yada. If you look at the history of Donald Trump, there's a few generations above him where he had all kinds of investment income to work with, play with, and also generational knowledge, right? His father and the father before that, they knew how to make money. It wasn't just, he took money and then made a lot more money, but they built him a nice mountain. And then he put a lot of dirt on top of that mountain, made it even taller. That idea, the thing that made him what he is in the sense of his success, cut off. You won't be seeing that for future generations. Now, here's the problem with this, okay? In the long run, countries do better when they have cheap labor that is educated. And so as executives look at the structure of what's going to happen with America, they know that the cheaper the labor and the more specialized and educated it is, the more that country can take the benefit of those people and convert it into something that strengthens the country. Because countries, they like to take out loans. They like to have money in general because then they can buy things. They can buy war machines to go get more oil. They can buy, more infrastructure to go ahead and control the people. They can buy more weapons to use as a threat towards other countries. They can do these things. But countries succeed faster when they have cheap labor that is highly specialized or educated. Look at China. Look at, the time of the pharaohs, right? Okay, that's when essentially, my genetic background was a slave to, building this or that. So bottom line is this. We have a problem here. And the problem is that it's not just the retired now. It's the future generations of people are not going to be able to have that boost. And what's sad is that who ends up with all of this? It's the banks. The banks will end up with a massive amount of homes. And these banks will then use them as investment options. This is not uncommon. They've been doing this, but now the table is set because rates are so high. COLA, cost of living adjustment, is never enough and hasn't been for a very long time. And as a result, people don't have enough money to use for retirement to survive. The table is set. The outcome over a 30-year period is that New people who are being born will never own land. They will never own a home. They will never own those things unless they come from people of wealth to begin with. That's the opposite of the American dream. Think about it. Like, what's the American dream? Okay, we got a house, a 2-car garage, we got a car, we got a big screen TV, we have the cutest dogs in the world, even though I have the cutest dogs in the world, although you might say you do, I do, of course, but we'll leave it at that. The point is, this is what is going to erode and destroy the American dream. It's going to take 2 generations, and then it's over. So I wanted to make you aware of this. I'm going to be doing more on this, and I hope that you really listen before you ever take out a reverse mortgage. We're going to be going over alternative options. We're going to be going over how to basically save your house. We're going to be going over which groups can help you repair your home super cheaply. We're going to be going through all that because, and I hate to say it, but America, for the most part, has changed. All right, I got to get that door. Somebody knocked. I'll catch you a little bit later. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.